Great, awesome. So here are some pictures of Phil Bangalore last year. There were about close to 2,000 people there. Look at that. Tons of workshops. People like really excited. Oh man, there's like way too many pictures of me. Man, okay. Anyway, ETH India. I'll show you the video. The video is like super epic.
The people around there are so enthusiastic to make these new solutions out there, getting to learn new things, and it's crazy out there. Like, I haven't expected this thing in spite of the bear market that we're seeing right now. So quite excited. I think the builders, this is like non-impacted.
I think the energy is really great here, and I've heard around like 23,000 developers applied for ETH India. That's a huge number. I've never seen this in any hackathon.
So 23,000 developers applied. They could only take 2,000. 23,000 developers applied. They could only take 2,000. That's crazy, right? So let's get in on this. Let's go have an IPFS Connect in India in like two weeks. Who wants to remix one of these with me? Like I'm very down to like try and grab a track within Phil Bangalore. We already have the space probably. We can grab a track within Phil Bangalore and create an IPFS Connect in Bangalore. But yeah, cool. So yeah, let's go do that.
So call to action, I've made this call to action many times, but if you want to make your content address things super fastly servable and retrievable, please maybe sign up for the Saturn private beta. Okay, that was like the total product plug. That's my team. I got to do that. And then the other thing though, I'm just like still going on the conversation we just had. Like, did anybody ever go to a Rails bridge or a, yeah, right? Like these sessions that were designed to just teach people the basics, and like, also like they were specifically designed towards bringing in a wider and more diverse group of people, which I think we could use a little of, just a wee. Anyway, I think I want to do something like that, maybe in LA. Yeah, IPFS Connect, LA, yes. Come see the amazing city. It actually is really amazing. Don't believe the hype. Hollywood is not us. Thank you.
Juan mentioned Node School, and we literally built a Node School workshopper for our workshop for learning how to use W3Up, which is a new UCAN-based Web3 storage thing. But the cool thing about this is this persists for ever, and it's a great, I guess, addition to the Node School workshoppers and things. And so these are cool kind of CLI-based workshop exercises. You select one and you get some information, and then you do the thing, and then the actual workshop verifies that you've done the right thing, which is, I think, really cool. But it means you can do it at home, you can do it in a class with lots of people. And so I used to do Node Schools in London, and we used to get a whole bunch of people together and work through these, and there'd just be people who are kind of experts walking around, and they can help out and stuff. And this is really cool for community building. That's what I wanted to say.
So I want to talk to you a little about RetroPGF. Public goods funding is an area that we are incredibly excited about. We live in a world where more money needs to be going into public goods. What's exciting now is that there are entire ecosystems, and I know we focus a lot on the crypto ecosystem, but there are entire economies, internet economies, that are built on top of public goods, public digital infrastructure, and we are building new types of rails and new types of mechanisms to help fund the public goods that make all of this possible. We all know that open source is what powers Silicon Valley and any other kind of tech company today. The way that RetroPGF works, at least in the way that it was designed in the Optimism ecosystem, which is one such ecosystem that we're currently partnering with, is that there is a recurring source of funding, in this case sequencer fees from the blockchain. That generates revenues. Some percentage of that goes into a pool, a RetroPGF pool, which distributes rewards back to the public goods that effectively fuel this entire ecosystem. So anybody that builds applications, but also all the way down the technology stack. So if you're building libraries, if you're building dev tooling, if you're building any kind of core infrastructure or network protocols, including IPFS, those are the types of things that we ought to be supporting, and not just the top layer itself, the application. And so this is a feedback loop that we're trying to build with RetroPGF programs. In the case of Optimism, this is an incredibly exciting opportunity because they're experimenting with this mechanism in real time with big dollar amounts. The first round was last year, or no, sorry, I guess it's 2 years ago now, with a relatively small pool of $1 million. The Retro PGF 2 was 10 million. That was earlier this year. What's going on right now that we're helping with, one of the things that we're building is Open Source Observer, where we're trying to help measure the impact of different open source projects so that they can better allocate this 30 million pool that's happening right now in Q3 and Q4. But that's happening right now. There's about 30 million OP, that's over $30 million that's gonna be distributed over the course of the next couple of months. But what's exciting and what is really interesting about this is that this is a recurring source of funding that isn't going away. This is a commitment that they've made as a community to recur and continuously fund public goods. I would love to see these types of programs exist in other crypto communities, but well beyond that as well. Like everybody in society, in technology, building companies that are profiting off of this open source software should be contributing in some form to Retro PGF or some form of public goods funding. And I'm excited for experiments like this to demonstrate that this is something that can be very positive sum in value and not just something that we're comfortable free riding off of. We know that IPFS is used everywhere. So this is something that we're going to be highlighting in the Retro PGF programs in Optimism coming up. But obviously, Optimism isn't the only ones using IPFS, and so we're excited to use tools like Open Source Observer to highlight that impact, highlight its value in the value chain of this giant, software supply chain. This is what's happening now. Obviously, the sign up is already over. The voting is currently ongoing through December 7th. But
IPFS submitted.
Yes, and libp2p. And you'll be, not surprised to hear that it shows up quite prominently when we actually do impact metrics and evaluating where it sits in the dependency tree of all these different projects. It shows up quite prominently. So we're excited to see the results of that and hope you guys follow along.
Cool. So some quick announcements. We're going to be setting up a foundation and a core fund for libp2p. There's a longer talk that goes into this in the libp2p day that you can go check out. I'll give you like the super lightning fast view. libp2p is a great project, came out of IPFS. There's an enormous amount of value across a number of blockchains that is being secured by libp2p. So ton of blockchains all use libp2p, and their subchains all use libp2p. Adds up to about $300 billion worth of value, all secured by libp2p in the networking layer. Huge community, lots of implementers, and so on. Probably much smaller than the IPFS community. The IPFS community is much larger. And in the past, there's been a set of funders, and this doesn't quite fully capture the whole picture. Different funders came in at different points in time. Recently, there was like this cool Celestia airdrop that happened. I think a lot of the IPFS folks also participated in that, which was a good way of like funding public goods. You just heard about Retro PGF. So libp2p so far has been like this amazing triumph of the crypto community coming together. This and adopting it. libp2p is not as big in the mainstream world yet, but it has that potential. But in any case, there's still a bunch of problems in the project. Kind of unsustainable public goods funded by a few organizations. We need like better structures and better mechanisms. Usually priorities in some other projects end up like driving that the set of implementers there. So like that's not fair to the project. And no good way of like doing community sense making on what makes sense to go build and scale. So we're going to set up the libp2p Foundation and the libp2p Core Fund as two separate groups to help with this. The foundation side is going to think about the long-term oriented governance questions, things about orienting the mission and vision of the project, oversees the spec and community processes, custodies brand, IP, trademark, and so on, and maintains some core infrastructure. The Core Fund, we're separating out because we want to have it be the first of many funds that many other parties can go start. So we want other people to compete with this and hopefully like if other groups do an even better job, then that'll get replaced. I really don't want to get like the funding pathway and the long-term governance pathway mixed too hard here, in a position where like suddenly like short to medium term concerns end up affecting long-term concerns, or you inhibit some better funding structure emerging, because it's just not the thing that like the governance community is familiar with. And so I think that the coupling will enable a lot of experimentation. So what the core fund is going to do is going to, for now, because Liquidity has so much adoption in the crypto space, we're going to start with a fund native to the crypto community. Maybe in the future we'll have a mainstream version. We are going to have this crypto native thing. It's going to do both proactive funding, like in grant-oriented structures, and retroactive funding, and it's going to deploy funding to teams and projects. So the way it sort of looks is like this. There's a set of funders. They fund the core fund. The core fund might fund teams and people. Those teams and people will then work on projects code and so on, and that will benefit the community. Key callouts though, the fund can fund other funds. So if there's another fund that's going to do some other thing that like is even better resource allocation than the fund would do, great. The fund can like go and fund that fund. We want to create this like network of funds to be able to orient the capital to go to the groups that are having the most impactful, doing the most impactful work. And we hope that other funds will emerge and raise from the same funders, and then compete together to like figure out like what's the best allocation process. One of the things that I mentioned we're going to use both proactive and retroactive mechanisms. There's 3 mechanisms we're going to be using: DAO voting, GP voting, and RetroPGF. You just heard about RetroPGF, so that's the retroactive part. We're going to elect a set of badge holders in the Liquidity community, many of them who are in the IPFS community, and they'll look at projects in the Liquidity space and reward them retroactively. We'll have some application process and whatnot. Then for the proactive side, we want to push most of it to DAO voting of some sort. Probably not direct linear voting in terms of some DAO token, but really categorized by different stakeholder group. We want the implementers, we want the users, we want the funders, we want the long-term project participants. We want all of those people to elicit their opinions on these proposals to then decide which of these should we take on. We're still figuring out what tools to use exactly there, and so on. And we know that some amount will have to be like decision-making of the fund, and that's what the GP side is. And we hope that that's primarily things like security response, time-sensitive projects, or areas where like we see that there's a lot of potential and the community isn't yet fully agreed, and so then we can take like a bet there. We anticipate that at the beginning we're probably going to do a lot of the stuff anyway as the community gets started, but this is the rough plan. And we need about $2 million and a bit to fund the project. To fund the core maintenance right now for continuity. So PL is contributing about a half of that. But we would love to raise 6 total per year to be able to grow the project. And we think that with all of those crypto groups, that this should be relatively straightforward to get to. We'll see. But my conception is that actually, if the Liquidity community is able to raise a pretty large amount for Liquidity, there's a lot of Liquidity IPFS intersection work where this fund could actually be starting to fund some of the IPFS teams because they impact Liquidity directly and they support Liquidity. So just a heads up that about this. If you want to comment on the Liquidity fund or whatever, you can join this Telegram group. All right, I will pause here and hand it off to Mosh.
I am here to talk to you about one of these rounds that we did. It was a very early version, but and I want to tell you about how we did it and its impact on our community here. So if you try to go to Go IPFS, you can't find it because the implementation that was called Go IPFS for many, many years got renamed Kubo about 1.5 years ago. And the reason we did that is because if you squat the name of Go IPFS, that makes room for no one else to interpret what IPFS means, what it does, how it can work in different devices, environments, maybe different types of applications. So Kubo is the new name, and we said we wanted a Cambrian explosion of implementations. Well, what we did was create the IPFS Implementations Fund. It was a baby step towards moving from Protocol Labs sponsoring directly all of this work and incubating it in-house, paying engineers, hiring teams, to saying, hey, all of these groups have great ideas for how to build IPFS and IPFS components. Let's support them instead. Some of them are sitting right here in this room, and they walk amongst us. So if you fast forward just over a year later, and I had like a whole human child in this time, it worked. Like this is what happened. Most of this happened in the past year and a half. IRO, the curl work, and we actually pivoted halfway through and said it's not just implementations. If we want to meet developers where they are, we need to build tools that we need to build bridges to tools they're already using. So that's why the Unreal and Unity gaming engine plugins got built. Is Adam in the house still? Hi, Adam. Adam Grosky from 3S. Thank you. And so if you, and like Myceli was built to communicate with satellite devices, and it works. So this is all the cool stuff that happens when we take development and like the development side of R&D out of one single company and push the work and the funds out to the community, right? So this is the type of work we're going to do. I think we learned a lot of things through this process. We made some mistakes, certainly. We also ran a small retro PGF round that we also, we're learning a lot from. So this is what we're going to take to inform the designs of how we structure funding and coordination and collaboration in the future. Yeah, IPFS is great. We now have a lot of these sort of packages of value propositions that I was talking about. I would love to see us lean more into that in how we build, connecting from the software components, the libraries, implementations, to the applications that use it, to how we, how we structure the front doors of our website, documentation, working groups, like how you find other people who care about these things, even if you're not in the same company or team. All of this is going to inform how we set up and how we initialize the IPFS and libp2p Foundation. So a few key components of this, Juan's already mentioned: independent software foundations, open protocol governance. Several of the teams from Protocol Labs will become independent entities, and then of course public goods funding. So this is a really cool year for IPFS project and libp2p project as well. That's my shill. Thank you.
Great. So just following up there on Masha's last slide, point 3, independent teams that have been incubating with Protocol Labs moving out. Want to talk about one of those? That's IPFS Shipyard. I want to give a plug for that team. So again, after incubating here with Protocol Labs last number of years, they are moving out as an independent engineering team involved in the ecosystem, but working on many of the tools and implementations that many have used, and services and artifacts. So this is Specs, Kubo, Helia, Boxo, IPFS.io Gateway, Amino DHT Bootstrappers. Those are the things that group stewards and are going to continue to do that. The intent is to hold a high bar for the maintenance and operations of those things, while also getting to run hard at making the next billion websites faster, more resilient, and more open. So Protocol Labs, kind of like we already saw with libp2p, has already agreed to generously cover a lot of our yearly expenses for next year, but we're also working to broaden the funding pool. So we are looking for a small group of early financial supporters. And also I should say that as part of graduating from Protocol Labs, that also means we have more flexibility of some of the work we take on. So we will be, as some great knowledge experts and experienced folks in the community, we're going to be available to be hired to collaborate and work on things that maybe that you need done. So you can learn more about this at our scrappy website, ipfs-shipyard.org. And again, we'd appreciate any support, feedback, or referrals that you may have. So that's thing number 1. Kind of related to that, I also want to announce the IPFS dApps working group. IPFS Shipyard is partnering with Liquidity from the Ethereum community, and hopefully other groups that care about having front ends that are truly decentralized. Especially with the advent of better user connectivity. This is a use case that IPFS can absolutely nail, and we want to see that happen here in 2024. So we're still getting the details for this set up, but the meeting series is posted on Luma, so this is IPFS-dApps under Luma, and it's on the IPFS community calendar, and there's a Telegram group at IPFS dApps. So yeah, good times. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, so I'm just here to show the links. Steve didn't. Just kidding. But here's the dApps working group. It's awesome. Luma/IPFS-dApps. Here's the IPFS-Shipyard. Scrappy. I don't know if you didn't want to show that, but it's there. There's a URL so you guys can see it. It's recorded. Also wanted to plug the Helio working group. So we run this once a week. I think I'm actually supposed to be running it. I think I'm supposed to be running it right now. Thank you. But yeah, a little bit. I think 6:30 p.m. What is it? Right now. So welcome to Helio working group. You are now all in session. Sorry, guys. Just kidding. But no, one last thing. If you weren't in my talk earlier, I hosted the room hostage so that they would scan this and go +1 a Chromium bug. So I think you need an account, but if you have not done this, it's here now, and I'll just wait 12 more seconds. 10. Everybody's done it. Please, please. We went from 5 to like 17 today, so let's get it up there a little bit more. Okay, I went over 10. Thank you very much.
Hello. So one of the teams that is pretty close to both the LPTP and the shipyard team is Probe Lab, which is looking into what are the things that look like that when you look under the hood. When things are working, but not exactly the way you expect them to or want them to. So it's another team that has looked into lots of IPFS things, LPTP things, but also outside of those protocols into Ethereum things and other things. And we found this happening quite a bit, and we argue that we should take things to the next level where we provide more performance evaluation rigor in order to fix everything so that water goes through the pipe. And if you want to learn more about this, I'd like to invite you to a bar nearby where much of the shipyard team is going to hang around for some of tonight to have a drink. So yeah, come around, hang out with us. We plan to be there at some point between now and later tonight. I don't know if people want a break or not. Would people prefer to go for a drink just straight after this, or an hour later? An hour later? Yeah? Yes? Yeah, an hour later, an hour and a half later, yeah. Okay. So around 8 p.m. or maybe a little bit before, several of our team members are going to be in a bar which is called Craft Beer Lab. It's, some people chose me to choose the bar. I don't know why they did that, but yeah, so that's where we're going now. It's about 10-minute walk from here. Put it in your map of choice. It's called Craft Beer Lab. I'll send a link to the Discord channel for IPFS Connect. And whoever wants to join and have a drink and learn more about this and what this team is going to be doing in the near future, I can tell you there. Thank you.
Hello. Is there any Chinese people here? Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody have been to China and have been to Chengdu? No. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, I wanted to give a quick introduction about the Jiaozi FS. Jiaozi simply pronounced with dumpling Jiaozi in China, but Jiaozi is a paper money like this. It's the world's first paper money. It's born in Chengdu. We have a Jiaozi museum in Chengdu for financial museum in Chengdu. Okay. Basically, what is Jiaozi FS? Previously, we wanted to build an IPRD database, but we found that it is not easy to find the market profit. So market fit. So we get started from a fair system that is good for machine learning pipelines. Jiaozi FS is very simple. You can think of that as Git plus fair system, or Git plus IPFS. Oh, sorry. 这样子。Okay. For many years, we do lots of activities on the CODA Corporation. You can see the different generation of CODA Corporation. The latest CODA Corporation is Git. But for the data corporation, we have distributed system. We have, for the past 10 years, we have very mature distributed file system like internet application, internet components, many huge data size on the distributed system like Google File System and Hadoop IPFS and Amazon S3 and IPFS. But what can we do data corporations to? We do the data corporations with copy and paste. And data is not only standalone. Data always with the code, and the code always with the data. So the current solution is, the famous one is Git, large file system. But it doesn't have many features of IPFS, for example, CID features and content addressable storage. So we wanted to build Git-like data management server and poetry indexing and content addressable storage for data versioning. Okay, this is a simple architecture. I want to skip it. What is the use case? We can build the data versioning, over the data versioning, build a Web3 Hugging Face. And we can build data versioning for modern data teams and platforms. Like DevOps, we can build the DataOps. And we can build versioning for end-to-end machine learning pipelines. And we can leverage the IPFS, CID, and the data container mechanism to build the infrastructure for data economy. Okay, that is what I wanted to share about the JAWS-FS. Next step, I want to share the roadmap. Sorry? Okay.
Call to action. What's your call to action?
Okay. So the monetize and the roadmap is one way is go to Web 2 and one way is go to Web 3, as you can see in the picture. Call to actions is I want to call to contact us and funding us and support us. I have a proposal to IPFS Connect in China for next year. And you can not enjoy the new technology about IPFS, but also the beautiful scenery and beautiful food and delicious food.
Well, we crowdsourced an after party because we didn't have funds to sponsor one. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Yanis, for that. Craft Beer Lab will post it, tweet it, telegram it, and all of those good things. Thank you so much for everyone who participated today. We've got tons of follow-ups. Thank you all for supporting us. And I hope we can basically put it in the name, IPFS Connect. We've heard LA and Chengdu for 2024, which is amazing. I have a back channel link to IPFS New York that apparently has some interest as well. So we're going to collab. We're going to follow up. Anyone who has links, we want to send them out. We'll put them on the website. Make sure everyone gets them. All of this is recorded, so as Juan always says, thousands of more people will see the video content of this as well. This is a strong start. Give yourselves a hand of applause. Thank you for everyone who supported us, and that's it.